Los Angeles, the city of angels, home of sunshine, palm trees, traffic that'll make you question your life choices, and movie stars who may or may not still be haunting their old studios. When people think of LA, they picture Hollywood dreams and red carpets, not restless spirits roaming Sunset Boulevard. But behind the glitz and glamour, there's a darker side to this city, one that doesn't show up on your TMZ feed. You see, LA isn't just full of stars. It's full of ghosts who refuse to give up the spotlight. From old hotels that hosted mysterious deaths to theaters where the show never ends, this city has enough haunted spots to make even a horror director take notes. And if you've ever sat in LA traffic long enough, you probably understand why some spirits never made it to the light. They're still stuck on the 405. Of course, LA locals don't scare easy. They're too busy dodging scooters on Melrose and avoiding $20 lattes. But when night falls and the neon lights fade, there's something eerie about this city, like the ghosts are just waiting for their next scene. Maybe they're hanging around the old movie sets, or maybe they're following you home after a late-night taco run. So buckle up, or maybe grab some sage, because we're about to take a haunted tour through Los Angeles. From haunted hotels to ghostly theaters and cursed canyons, these are the places that prove LA's true stars never really fade. They just start haunting. Welcome to Screamville, and tonight we're turning the city of angels into the city of ghosts. The Hollywood Knickerbocker Hotel stands like a grand old movie star that never left the set. Built in 1929, its Art Deco design once shimmered with the glow of fame, scandal, and secrets. Just a block off Hollywood Boulevard, it became a sanctuary for stars escaping the spotlight, or trying desperately to cling to it. Its walls have seen everything from champagne to seances, from movie premieres to midnight breakdowns. If ever there was a place that embodied the highs and lows of Hollywood, this was it. In its heyday, the Knickerbocker's guest list read like the credits of a golden age blockbuster. Marilyn Monroe was said to have visited often before she was famous, slipping quietly into the lobby bar where Joe DiMaggio would sometimes meet her for a drink. You can almost picture them, her in oversized sunglasses, him in a pressed suit, pretending to be just another couple instead of the most recognizable faces in America. Elvis Presley even stayed there while filming Love Me Tender, his first movie. Fans camped outside just hoping to catch a glimpse of him through the lobby window. Some swore they could still hear his guitar strumming faintly from his room long after he checked out. But for every glamorous arrival, the Knickerbocker had a tragedy waiting in the wings. One of the hotel's most infamous stories involves actress Frances Farmer, whose career and personal life spiraled into chaos. One night in 1943, she was dragged out of her room by police after a mental breakdown, screaming that she didn't belong in an asylum. It was the kind of Hollywood moment that tabloids lived for. Sensational, sad, and unforgettable. The Knickerbocker's lobby, they say, still carries her echo. A scream caught between stardom and madness. Then there was D.W. Griffith, one of the pioneers of silent film. After years of revolutionizing cinema, he spent his final days quietly living in one of the Knickerbocker's rooms, a lonely legend fading in the same town he helped build. When he died in 1948, it was almost poetic. Hollywood's first great director taking his final bow in one of its most storied hotels. Some guests claimed to have seen an older gentleman in a hat wandering near the lobby late at night, tipping his cap before vanishing near the elevator. They say Griffith still roams the halls, perhaps reliving the applause that's long since faded. Of course, no Hollywood legend would be complete without a touch of the supernatural. The Knickerbocker's most famous brush with the beyond came on Halloween night, 1936, when Bess Houdini, widow of the great escape artist Harry Houdini, held her final seance on the hotel's rooftop. For 10 years after his death, she had tried to contact him on the anniversary of his passing, keeping alive the hope that her husband could pull off the ultimate escape from death itself. On that night, beneath the glow of searchlights and the hum of radio equipment, she made her last attempt. A small crowd gathered, waiting for a sign, a whisper, a flicker, anything. But the air stayed still. No chains rattled, no message came. At midnight, Bess blew out the candle and softly said, "It is finished." Since then, people say the rooftop carries an energy that can't be explained. Some describe feeling a sudden chill, others hear faint whispers when the wind blows just right. A few even claim to have seen a faint flicker of light, like a candle, when the night is quiet enough. Maybe it's nothing. Or maybe Houdini is still trying to send his message, 1 century late. The Knickerbocker's golden age faded, but its spirit never did. It eventually became an apartment building for seniors, but guests and residents still tell stories of doors that open on their own, music playing from nowhere, and phantom footsteps pacing the halls. Whether it's the ghosts of the stars or the echo of their fame, the place hums with the feeling that something or someone is still there, waiting for the next curtain call. If you ever find yourself on Ivar Avenue, take a moment to look up at the Knickerbocker's rooftop. Imagine Marilyn laughing softly over a cocktail, Elvis humming a tune, Griffith pacing the halls, and Bess Houdini waiting for a sign that never came. The stars may have dimmed, but the ghosts, they're still putting on one last show. In the heart of downtown Los Angeles, standing proudly across from the old plaza, sits the Pico House, a grand 3-story reminder that not everything old and fancy ages gracefully. Built in 1870 by Pio Pico, the last Mexican governor of California, it was once the most luxurious hotel in the city. Imagine marble floors, gas chandeliers, and indoor plumbing, the 19th century version of saying, "We have Wi-Fi." It was the place to be for LA's early elite, but like most fancy old buildings, the Pico House didn't just host parties, it eventually hosted ghosts. In its glory days, guests from across the state flocked there, sipping fine wines and enjoying amenities that were practically unheard of at the time. But LA was changing fast. Railroads were being built. Businesses were moving south, and Pico's Grand Hotel soon fell out of favor. By the 1880s, the place had gone from a hub of luxury to a glorified ghost town, and I mean that literally. As the guests checked out, something else checked in and decided to stay. Legend has it that the Pico House is haunted by the spirits of people connected to one of the most violent events in early Los Angeles history, the Chinese Massacre of 1871. Right behind the hotel, a mob stormed through Chinatown, lynching nearly 20 people in one of the darkest days in the city's past. Many believe those victims never truly left. Late-night visitors have reported the sound of running footsteps, panicked cries, and disembodied voices whispering in languages long forgotten. It's said that if you walk through the courtyard at night, you might hear someone shouting for help, only to find no one there. Security guards have long joked that the Pico House is one of the worst places to pull the night shift. Some have sworn they've seen shadowy figures darting through the hallways when the building is locked and empty. Others report doors opening and closing on their own, lights flickering for no reason, and the eerie sound of footsteps pacing just above their heads. And when they go to check, you guessed it, no one's there. One guard reportedly quit on the spot after seeing a man in old-fashioned clothes staring down at him from a second-floor window. The kicker? The building's power had been shut off for the night, and then there's the ghost of Pio Pico himself. Locals say the old governor's spirit has been spotted wandering the halls in his signature black suit, looking both proud and irritated. Which makes sense, considering he lost the hotel and most of his fortune to shady deals before he died. They say he sometimes appears near the grand staircase, as if he's still keeping an eye on his investment. People who've seen him describe a tall man with piercing eyes and a faint scent of cigar smoke. If you ever smell tobacco when you're alone inside Pico House, congratulations. You might have just shared a smoke break with California's last Mexican governor. Tour guides from haunted LA swear the atmosphere changes as soon as the sun goes down. The air gets heavy, the temperature drops, and even the pigeons seem to avoid roosting there. One paranormal group claimed to have recorded a voice saying "go home" in Spanish. Another investigator caught what looked like a man's face forming in a second-story window, only to disappear the moment they looked up. Either it's a ghost, or the world's most dedicated prankster. Despite the creepy tales, the Pico House still stands beautifully preserved as part of the El Pueblo de Los Angeles Historical Monument. It's closed to overnight guests, which is probably for the best, unless you're into spectral roommates. It's used for filming and events now, but production crews have shared their own spooky experiences. Cameras malfunction, lights blow out, and props move mysteriously between takes. One crew member even refused to go back in after hearing what she described as a crowd of angry whispers echoing through the empty ballroom. So, if you ever find yourself exploring downtown LA's historic core at night, stroll by the Pico House and take a peek through those grand old windows. Maybe you'll see the shadow of a well-dressed man glaring down at you, or hear faint laughter from a time when the gas lights still burned bright. Just remember, in LA, even the real estate has a dramatic past, and if you hear someone whisper, "Check out time in your ear," take the hint and get out while you can. The Comedy Store in Los Angeles is one of those rare places where you can get goosebumps for two entirely different reasons. One from laughter, and the other from whatever just whispered your name when no one was around. Sitting proudly on Sunset Boulevard, this famous comedy club has seen everyone from Richard Pryor to Robin Williams to Jim Carrey take the stage. But long before the laughter, this building had a much darker sense of humor. Back in the 1940s, it was a glitzy nightclub called Cyro's, a hotspot for Hollywood's elite, mobsters, and anyone who wanted to drink gin and keep secrets. And judging by how haunted the place is now, a few of those secrets didn't leave when the lights went out. Rumor has it that in the club's early days, the basement wasn't just for storage. Some say it was a mob hangout where debts were settled, and not the kind that could be paid in cash. People claim screams and moans still echo from down there, which is a pretty bad Yelp review for eternity. Comedians who wander downstairs after hours have reported feeling like someone's standing right behind them, breathing down their neck. Imagine trying to remember your punchline while a ghostly ex-mobster is judging your timing. Employees over the years have sworn the place has its own resident ghosts, almost like spectral regulars. One is known simply as Gus, a ghostly man in a black suit who supposedly worked there back in the mob era. People say he's protective, though his idea of protective sometimes involves throwing things when he's in a mood. There's even a story about an ashtray flying off a table during a late-night cleanup. The staff blamed it on Gus. Management blamed it on exhaustion. Either way, nobody volunteered for the closing shift after that. Then there's the man in the bomber jacket, an old spirit who apparently still thinks it's the 1940s. People have spotted him standing at the back of the main room, watching comedians perform before vanishing into thin air. Maybe he's waiting for the show to start, or maybe he's just wondering what happened to big band music. One comic said he saw the man right before his set, and when he went to talk to him, he was gone. The comic bombed that night, by the way. Coincidence? Maybe. But the ghost probably gave him a solid boo. The basement continues to be the creepiest spot of all. Lights flicker, doors slam on their own, and footsteps echo from the darkness. Some staff say they refuse to go down there alone, especially since one bartender claimed she heard whispering and felt something brush her hair. She quit the next day and said she'd rather deal with drunk customers than dead ones. Honestly, that's fair. But the hauntings aren't limited to the basement. Chairs move by themselves in the showroom, people hear laughter when the place is empty, and there's a cold spot near the bar that no air conditioner can explain. One waitress once said she heard someone call her name, but when she turned around, she was completely alone, unless you count Gus and his ghost buddies. Even comedians rehearsing after hours have stopped mid-joke to ask, "Did you hear that?" Which is never a great sign in a dark room full of mirrors. Despite the spooky side, the ghosts at the Comedy Store seem to love the place as much as the living do. Maybe they just never wanted to miss the next big act. After all, if you've spent eternity in limbo, an open mic night probably sounds like a nice change of pace. Comedians have joked that the ghosts are their toughest crowd, silent, cold, and impossible to impress. But hey, at least they don't heckle. So if you ever go to the Comedy Store and feel a chill that has nothing to do with the AC, don't worry too much. It's probably just Gus checking in, or one of the old Ciro's regulars still waiting for their martini. Either way, the ghosts there know good entertainment when they see it, and in a place where the laughter never dies, maybe the audience doesn't either. If Los Angeles had a goth prom queen, she'd be the Rosenheim Mansion, red brick, brooding, and photogenic from every angle. Built in 1908 by architect Alfred Rosenheim as his own home, the mansion stands in Country Club Park like a relic of another era. With its Tudor and Gothic revival mix, intricate woodwork, stained glass, and dark mahogany details, it looks like the kind of place where you might expect a pipe organ to start playing by itself. It's also one of LA's designated historic cultural monuments, basically the city's way of saying, yes, she's spooky, but she's iconic. Before it became Hollywood's favorite haunted set piece, the mansion had a surprisingly saintly past. After Rosenheim moved out, it passed through a few owners before becoming a convent for the Sisters of Social Service in the 1930s. The nuns even added a small chapel next door, which only adds to the eerie, holy meets haunted vibe. Imagine being a nun trying to pray while every creak of the floorboard sounds like a disapproving ghost. They eventually left after an earthquake, but the spirit of mystery stayed behind. Hollywood, of course, couldn't resist. The Rosenheim Mansion has been featured in countless productions, from The Twilight Zone to Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Spider-Man. But its breakout role came in 2011 when American Horror Story chose it as the setting for its first season, titled Murder House. That's when the legend was born. Overnight, the Rosenheim Mansion went from historic home to America's creepiest address. People didn't just visit anymore, they pilgrimaged. The Murder House nickname actually came from the show's story, not any real-life murders. In AHS, the house was cursed, haunted by the souls of everyone who ever died within its walls. In reality, no such tragedies occurred. But try telling that to horror fans. To this day, tourists show up expecting ghostly moans, phantom footsteps, or maybe even a Ryan Murphy cameo. The owners say the real horror is people ignoring the no trespassing signs. Still, the mansion does have its share of spooky reports. The current owners claim they've experienced unexplained noises, cold spots, and the feeling of being watched, though that might just be the paparazzi. They even hosted a live-streamed Halloween event featuring seances and ghost hunters trying to make contact with the spirits. Whether it's actual ghosts or just overactive imaginations, the Rosenheim mansion certainly knows how to keep its reputation alive, or undead. Owning the murder house, though, isn't all red carpets and creepy clout. After buying it, the owners realized fans would show up at all hours, sometimes hopping the fence or knocking on the doors asking for tours. They even sued the real estate agents, saying they weren't warned the house came with its own fandom. Imagine thinking you bought a quiet, historic mansion, only to find out it's basically the Disneyland of doom. Inside, the mansion is just as impressive as you'd imagine. 6 fireplaces, mahogany paneling, grand staircases, and a ballroom that doubles as a chapel. It's less crime scene and more classy vampire real estate. It's the kind of place where even dust looks elegant. Every shadow seems to have a story. Every flicker of light feels intentional. It's beauty and darkness rolled into one very photogenic package. So whether you know it as the Rosenheim Mansion or the Murder House, it's one of Los Angeles' most recognizable and misunderstood homes. The nickname might be fictional, but the legend has a life of its own. It's haunted by stories, superstardom, and a little bit of Hollywood magic. And if you ever pass by, just remember, the ghosts don't mind pictures, but the owners definitely do. If you've ever taken a stroll through Los Angeles and thought, wow, everyone here is just dying to be famous, then Hollywood Forever Cemetery is where that punchline gets a little too literal. Founded in 1899, it's one of the oldest cemeteries in Los Angeles, sitting right next to Paramount Studios, like a backstage pass to eternity. This is where the silver screen meets the silver coffin, where legends like Judy Garland, Cecil B. DeMille, and Rudolph Valentino all took their final bows. But let's be honest, in Hollywood, nobody really leaves the spotlight. Hollywood Forever started off as Hollywood Cemetery, back when Los Angeles was mostly orange groves and optimism. Over time, it became the it place to be buried. Imagine being so famous that your neighbors in the afterlife are directors, silent film stars, and rock legends. But even cemeteries in LA have drama. After decades of mismanagement and scandals, including one involving the removal of headstones to make room for new graves, seriously, the place was nearly lost. Then, like a plot twist in a Hollywood movie, new owners resurrected it in the 1990s, restoring its beauty and turning it into a mix of history, hauntings, and outdoor movie nights. Now, let's talk about the ghosts, because you know Tinseltown's dearly departed aren't resting quietly. The most famous spirit said to haunt Hollywood forever is Rudolph Valentino, the Latin lover of silent films. Visitors claim to see a dashing man in black wandering near his mausoleum, leaving the faint scent of cologne. Others report hearing faint sobbing, possibly from the Lady in Black, a mysterious woman who's been visiting Valentino's grave since his death in 1926. She's become such a legend that multiple women have taken up the tradition. Only in LA can mourning someone become a competitive sport. Then there's Virginia Rapp, whose tragic death in the 1920s led to one of Hollywood's first scandals, the infamous Fatty Arbuckle trial. Her restless spirit is said to roam the grounds, occasionally appearing during film screenings, as if still waiting for justice or just a better third act. And speaking of screenings, some visitors say they've seen ghostly figures sitting among the audience during the cemetery's movie nights, because even in death, some stars just can't resist a good premiere. Judy Garland's ghost reportedly makes appearances too, especially near her crypt since her remains were moved there in 2017. People have reported hearing soft singing and even catching a whiff of old Hollywood perfume, which, let's be honest, could just be Chanel No. 5 from a hipster picnic nearby. Still, the thought of Judy humming "Somewhere Over the Rainbow" while you're watching a movie surrounded by tombstones, that's peak LA weirdness. Employees and visitors also tell tales of strange cold spots, phantom lights, and the occasional whisper that calls someone's name when no one's there. Security guards have said they've seen figures moving across the grounds at night, only to disappear behind marble mausoleums. But when your workplace doubles as a cemetery and a concert venue, you kind of expect a little extra company on the night shift. The place has also earned a reputation as a paranormal hotspot during its famous Dia de los Muertos celebrations. Thousands gather to honor the dead, and rumor has it, sometimes the dead show up too. Cameras have caught orbs, flickers of light, and even shadowy silhouettes joining the festivities. It's the only party in town where you might literally bump into your favorite silent film star from 1925. So, whether you're there for a concert, a classic movie screening, or a ghost hunt, Hollywood Forever Cemetery proves one thing: fame really is forever. It's a place where the dead rest stylishly, the living picnic among legends, and the boundary between the two is about as thin as a Hollywood storyline. Just remember, if you feel someone brush your shoulder during a film, don't panic. It's probably just Valentino checking if he's still got it. Griffith Park in Los Angeles might look like a sunny paradise of hiking trails, picnics, and Hollywood sign selfies, but don't let the view fool you. This 4,300-acre patch of wilderness has a dark side, a really dark side. Locals call it one of the most haunted places in LA, and not just because of parking or the coyotes. The stories stretch back to the 1800s, when this land was still a ranch owned by one unlucky man named Don Antonio Feliz, whose name literally means happy. Ironically, he was anything but happy after death, because that's when his curse supposedly started. When Don Antonio died in 1863, his land was supposed to go to his niece, Donna Petronila. But a group of sneaky politicians and businessmen tricked her out of it. She was so furious that she put a curse on everyone involved, and oh boy, did she mean it. According to legend, she shouted that every future owner of the land would meet tragedy. Not long after, those involved started dropping like flies. One fell off a cliff. Another mysteriously got sick. Griffith J. Griffith, yep, the guy the park is named after, bought the cursed land years later. And even he ended up shooting his wife in the face during a drunken rage. She survived, but he didn't survive prison. Coincidence? Maybe. Curse? Absolutely. If you ask any Angelino who's ever gotten lost trying to find parking near the observatory. And then there's picnic table number 29. Forget the curse for a second. This story is pure campfire nightmare fuel. In October of 1976, a young couple named Nancy and Rand were having a romantic late-night picnic under the stars. That's sweet, except they chose to do it right under a massive old tree. A tree that, thanks to a freak windstorm, or perhaps a vengeful ghost, suddenly cracked and crushed them both to death. When rescuers found the scene the next morning, the couple was still holding hands beneath the branches. To make things even creepier, park rangers who tried to remove the tree claimed their chainsaws kept malfunctioning, and some even reported seeing ghostly figures near the table afterward. For years after that, people reported strange activity around table number 29. Rangers said they heard whispers when no one was around, and hikers swore they saw flickering lights in the distance. One unlucky maintenance worker tried to replace the picnic table entirely, but something unseen shoved him so hard he fell and broke his arm. The new table mysteriously burned down not long after installation, as if the spirits were saying, "Nah, this is our table now." To this day, no one dares to sit at table number 29 after dark. Locals say the air feels heavy there, like you're being watched by something that never left. Of course, Griffith Park doesn't stop at one creepy picnic. The old zoo ruins are another hotspot for hauntings. Visitors say they hear ghostly animal noises at night, growls, screeches, and the occasional lion's roar, even though the zoo closed decades ago. Imagine trying to take a romantic stroll and suddenly hearing a phantom monkey above you. That's not exactly the Hollywood magic people expect. Some even claim to see spectral animals pacing in their old cages, trapped forever in ghostly loops of boredom. I mean, if I were a lion who had to deal with LA traffic and tourists banging on glass for years, I'd probably haunt the place too. Then there's the ghost of Peg Entwistle, the most famous spirit of Griffith Park. Peg was a struggling actress in the 1930s who, heartbroken over her failing career, climbed up to the Hollywood sign, which back then read Hollywoodland, and leapt from the H. Since then, hikers and security guards have reported seeing a blonde woman in 1930s-style clothing wandering near the sign, only to vanish when approached. Others smell gardenia perfume, her favorite scent, when no one is around. Nothing like a friendly reminder that your hike might end with a ghostly celebrity cameo. And let's not forget the equestrian trails. Riders often say their horses act strange in certain spots, refusing to move or suddenly rearing up in fear. Some have claimed to see a ghostly cowboy galloping through the canyons, his face hidden beneath a hat, his eyes glowing faintly in the moonlight. One rider even said the cowboy tipped his hat to her before fading into the night like some paranormal John Wayne. If that's not the most LA version of a haunting, I don't know what is. Between cursed land, crushed lovers, phantom lions, and a ghostly actress, Griffith Park has earned its haunted reputation fair and square. Still, it's one of the most beloved places in LA, because apparently people don't mind sharing their hiking trails with spirits. Just remember, if you ever decide to have a moonlit picnic there, maybe skip table number 29. Ghosts have a funny way of keeping their reservations. Oh, you thought that was it? Please, this is Los Angeles. The city's so haunted it needs its own ghost registry. We've only scratched the surface. You can't throw a vegan burrito in this town without hitting a place where someone swears they've seen an apparition holding a SAG card. So yeah, consider this part 1 of our little haunted Hollywood adventure, because LA is way too big for just one ghost tour. I mean, let's be real. This city has more spirits than a celebrity's juice cleanse. Between cursed movie sets, haunted hotels, and graveyards with better headshots than most living actors, there's enough paranormal material here to keep us busy until the next Oscar season. And if you thought the ghosts we talked about tonight were wild, just wait till you hear who or what shows up in part 2. Some of these spirits have been here since before the freeways were built. Others probably died waiting in line on the 405. Either way, Los Angeles has earned its reputation as the city where dreams live forever. And apparently, so do the people who didn't quite make it to the big screen. It's Hollywood, baby. No one ever really fades away. So if you liked tonight's haunted stroll through LA's spookiest spots, go ahead and hit that subscribe button before something behind you does. Seriously, you never know who's watching, especially around here. Maybe it's a ghost, or maybe it's just your neighbor filming their 19th failed pilot. Either way, click subscribe. It's safer that way. So yeah, this was only the beginning. Part 2 is already in the works, and trust me, it's even darker, weirder, and somehow still stuck in traffic. Because nothing in LA moves fast. Not the cars, not the careers, and definitely not the ghosts. Until then, keep your EMF readers charged, your camera batteries full, and your sage ready, because the next time we meet, we're diving deeper into the City of Angels and all its restless spirits. Stay spooky, stay safe, and remember, in Los Angeles, the dead don't always wait for the credits to roll.